So you're interested in Mexican citizenship by marriage. In this video, we're going to give you a step-by-step guide to exactly what that looks like. Maybe you're currently married to a Mexican citizen, or maybe you have a Mexican boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're wondering how to obtain Mexican citizenship. In today's video, I'll walk you through everything you need to know about becoming a Mexican citizen through marriage. We'll cover the requirements, the application process, the timeline, and the benefits of becoming a Mexican citizen. So let's dive right in. First things first, what is Mexican citizenship by marriage? Well, this allows a foreign spouse of a Mexican citizen to apply for naturalization. This pathway is ideal for those who have established ties to Mexico, whether through family, work, or simply a love for the country. And the key benefit here is you can apply for citizenship after just 2 years of residency in Mexico as the spouse of a Mexican citizen. This is significantly shorter than the usual 5 years required for other pathways. So again, to become a Mexican citizen by marriage, you will have to become a resident of Mexico first. So you can either get the residency sort of through your spouse, or if you're already a resident of Mexico, that helps as well, obviously. And if you need residency in Mexico, MyLatinLife, we're a full-scale immigration firm. We can help you get residency in Mexico, either via your spouse or through the other more conventional routes, such as financial solvency. Okay, now let's move on to eligibility requirements, and let's go into more details here about the key requirements. One is the marriage duration. You must be legally married to a Mexican citizen for at least 2 years before applying for citizenship. 2, you must have lived in Mexico for at least 2 consecutive years with a valid temporary or permanent residency card. Okay? And there's also physical presence requirements as well. So not only will that residency permit need to be active for 2 years, but you're also going to need 18 months of physical presence in Mexico, meaning that you will have to have spent no more than 6 months outside of Mexico during the preceding 2 years leading up to applying for citizenship. You're also going to need to be a citizen in good standing, meaning no serious criminal record in Mexico or abroad. You'll also need to pass a language proficiency test, and you'll also need some integration into the Mexican culture that will be assessed in the naturalization exam. In other words, you'll have to do a knowledge of Mexican history and culture test. And by the way, it's not super easy. Like, it is pretty hard. At MyLatinLife, if you do your naturalization case with us, we have all kinds of cheat sheets, study guides, practice tests, practice questions to help you study for the citizenship exam. But just know it actually is pretty hard. It's not a walk in the park. Okay, moving on, let's talk about what documents you're going to need. You'll need your passport, your residency card, temporary or permanent. You'll need your spouse's Mexican birth certificate or proof of Mexican citizenship. You'll need your marriage certificate, and I believe that also needs to be registered in Mexico, the marriage, if the marriage took place abroad. You'll also need proof of an address in Mexico. We can help you with that if you need an address. You'll need passport photos. You'll need proof of legal entry into Mexico, your immigration entry form, and you'll need to complete the naturalization application form, okay? Pro tip, always check the latest requirements at your local Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores, SRE office, as these may vary slightly, and if you're watching the video in the future, you never know if they add more stuff to the process. So speaking of, let's talk about the application process. 1, we'll schedule you an appointment at your nearest SRE office. That's where you'll submit your documents and start the process. 2, your application is going to get reviewed. You'll get notified if any additional documents are needed, or if you basically get accepted in terms of the documents. Step 3, you'll have to take the exams. There's going to be 2 exams, the Spanish language test, as well as the Mexican culture and history test. Okay? If you're nervous about the exams, don't worry. There's plenty of online resources and study guides. MyLatinLife, we got all the stuff as I mentioned. Step 4, you pay the fee. The naturalization fee is approximately 5,000 pesos right now, which is like $250. And this amount could vary, but just know there's a fee involved. And then step 5, you'll have to wait for approval. So the approval process can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on the workload at the SRE and the completeness of your application. This also means that approval processing times might depend on what state in Mexico you go to. If you go to ones with less gringos or less foreigners, your application might get approved faster, and you might be able to have a bit more of a dialogue with the local office there, because a lot of the process is local, and then some of it will get sent to Mexico City as well. Moving on, let's talk about some of the benefits of Mexican citizenship. What do you gain by becoming a Mexican citizen? So number 1, dual citizenship. Obviously, Mexico allows dual nationality, so you can retain your original citizenship. So don't worry, you don't need to renounce. You're just going to essentially augment your citizenship portfolio with a new citizenship and passport. You'll have no immigration restrictions moving forward. You're going to be able to travel freely without worrying about visa renewals or residency permits. Another benefit is property ownership. You can own land anywhere in Mexico, including the restricted zones near the coast and the border. Quick reminder that non-Mexicans cannot own real estate within 50 kilometers of the coast. So people buying property in Tulum or Puerto Vallarta, all that stuff, they need to use a trust structure called a fideicomiso. And I have other videos on the channel about fideicomisos and about buying real estate in Mexico. So if you just search Mexican real estate on our YouTube channel backlog, you'll see some good videos there. But anyway, once you become a Mexican citizen, that no longer applies. And you'll actually save money because the trust structure costs like $600, maybe $1,000 a year to keep active. So you'll save some money there. And then, of course, you'll be able to have a Mexican passport, which will give you the benefit of visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to over 150 countries with a Mexican passport. I think it's up to even 160 countries now. I think on one of the indexes I saw, the Mexican passport is like 14th best in the world or something like that. It's a much stronger passport than you think. The only downside is it doesn't have visa-free to the U.S., but it has visa-free pretty much everywhere else. Russia, I think Japan, lots of stuff. So it'll actually fill in the coverage in your visa-free portfolio for sure. Okay, now let's move on to some common questions. Can I apply if I live outside of Mexico? People ask. No, you must reside in Mexico for at least 2 years to qualify for citizenship by marriage. So in other words, if you're married to a Mexican national, but you're living in the U.S., you're living in Canada, whatever, we can get you we can get you residency for the mere fact of being married to a Mexican national, but we cannot get you citizenship simply by being married to a Mexican national. You're still going to have to become a resident first and then live for 2 years in Mexico. Okay? This might be different than some other countries in the world. There are some countries where you don't have to live in the country. Italy comes to mind, Italian citizenship by marriage. You don't have to live in Italy. But with Mexico, you do have to live in Mexico for 2 years. Okay? Something to keep in mind. Another common question is, do I lose my current citizenship? The answer is no. Mexico allows dual nationality, so you can retain your current citizenship. Okay? However, you might want to check the laws of your home country to ensure that they permit dual citizenship. There's a couple quirky ones in Europe. Germany's a bit quirky, Netherlands is a bit quirky, and then lots of Asian countries and African countries don't allow dual citizenship. But Canada, the U.S., most of Europe allows dual citizenship. Pretty much everywhere in Latin America allows dual citizenship. So should be good for the majority of the viewers of this video. Another question here is, what happens if my marriage ends before I get citizenship? Well, the marriage must still be valid during the application process. If the marriage ends before the citizenship is granted, your application could be denied. So prayers up for you there. All right. In conclusion, Mexican citizenship by marriage is a straightforward process, offering incredible benefits for those who have built a life in Mexico, or at very least spent 2 years living in Mexico. With proper preparation and patience, you can achieve your goal of becoming a proud citizen of this beautiful country. And reminder, if you're not ready to spend 2 years living in Mexico, we can still get you residency in Mexico, meaning if you're living in the US with a Mexican national spouse, we can get you Mexico residency. We only need you in Mexico for like 2 days during the process to pick up your resident card. But other than that, it'll not interrupt your life at all, and you can continue living in the US or Canada, wherever you currently live. And we're going to get you essentially a Plan B residency. So if you're married to a Mexican spouse, let's get you residency. And then in the future, if you ever want to become a citizen, just know you got to put in the 2 years in Mexico. But either way, the process starts with residency in Mexico. So let's get you residency. There's going to be a link in the description to this video where you can book a call with us or just order the service directly. So you kind of got 2 options there. And let's put that Mexican residency card in your hands. And by the way, we can get residency for your whole family as well. Cool. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts or questions about the Mexican citizenship by marriage process, and we'll see you in the next video. Hasta luego.